What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Sports Card CEO. We are the official collecting podcast of JustBaseball.com. The boys are back in our respective towns. Kern is in a new location out on the island, and Bubba's back on the farm, and the Hams are back at the coast, baby. We got all three of the boys back after a huge national. Gentlemen, this is going to be a fun episode.
Sure is. Post-national recap episode.
Yes, sir. Well, we'll just start it in usual CEO fashion, and everybody can share the week recap of the week. Bubba, we're going to hide you out in the basement to go last while you're sipping on your coffee.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to get him any more fired up here, but
no, buddy, he's ready.
If we had, by the way, for listeners, it's 9:19 p.m. on Monday. If we had filmed this at 9:19 a.m., this would have been a totally different show. Totally different show.
A rated R show.
Yeah,
it
would have been. So, Kern, kick us off. What's the week like for you?
The week was good, man. I flew out to National on Wednesday. I got out there Wednesday morning. I hit the show Wednesday and Thursday. It was solid, man. It was a good time. This was my second National last year in Cleveland. I didn't really have anything to compare it to. Everybody kept saying that Chicago was better than Cleveland. I mean, as a city, I'm sure, you can make that argument. But I from a national standpoint, card show standpoint, I had no idea what to expect, and it definitely was a better setup. It definitely was a better show. I sold more than I bought. It was an overall successful show, but most importantly, it was, my goal going in there was really just to kind of catch up with people and network a bit and meet people that I haven't met before, and that was a success. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back buying. And, man, we got the second half of the summer kicking off over here.
The grind continues, baby. So I took all three boys, Ham House in full effect. I had Matthew, which, by the way, today as we're recording, it's Matthew's 15th birthday. So Matthew from the CEOs, happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday.
Yep. Thank you for being a part
I nominate Gary to sing happy birthday right now.
I sent a cake. It was an ice cream cake, though, so it might get melted by the time it
already melted. That's what that package was.
Yeah.
So anyway, all three boys, and I can tell you this, the twins came, and I'm super proud of them. And I'm going to we'll talk about the national from our perspective. So Grayson and Wyatt are my identical twin boys. They're 13. They're about 15 months younger than Matthew. And they've always kind of like hung out in the shadows for the sports card thing. And this national, they took to it like a wrecking ball. And they were I was so proud of them, man, because they started to understand the dynamic of like, finding out what people are looking for, understanding how to buy, where to buy, what to buy, and then who to kind of target selling to. And then they were able to kind of roll that. So they started out with they had done this off and on over the last couple of years. I think I started them out with like $300 like a year ago, and they probably only go to a couple of shows a year. They had gotten it up to $2,000 at this national, and they doubled up. So they came home with like 4,300. And now, like Wyatt, one of the twins, he's like, Dad, I think Weatherholt's a buy. I want to go get a Weatherholt Blue 9. And I was like, man, these boys are just diving in. So that was super cool. And then Gary's boys were there with him on Friday during the day. And Gary's three boys and the twins mostly, and them, they were running all over the place. And that was just super cool to see, getting to hang out or whatever. I wish all three of us would have been there at the same time. But selfishly, it was kind of cool because I got some Kern time on the front end. I got some Bubba time on the end. So it was a lot of fun for us. We crushed it. We're going to go over our predictions and then what actually happened when we get into the recap. But just incredible week. I'm really tired. We hardly slept. Anyway, just nuts. But Bubba, what about you, buddy?
I'll just say I love when Matt Ham seems like a really, really calm guy on the show here. He's got like that calm demeanor. When he gets in national mode, baby, he's like party boy. He's like party boy. 2:00 in the morning does not slow him down when he's at the national. He is enjoying every minute of it. So as you heard last week, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. My boys did not stop begging me. I mean, it didn't matter that they had football Friday morning. Didn't matter that we had school orientation Friday afternoon. We hightailed our butt up to Greenville, which is about 2-hour drive from our house because I didn't want to go through Atlanta traffic on a Friday. And we flew from Greenville to Chicago, brought my 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old son. And I couldn't be more happy that we did. We had a ball together. They all got in the car on the way home. We got back to Atlanta about 11:30 by the time we landed. Didn't get home till 1:30, but the whole time they just, Dad, we loved it. We loved it. And that's really what my message is, because we're going to go into what the show was like here in a little bit. But I just really love this hobby for kids, man. I mean, if you can shield them from the negative stuff, what they get out of it, the confidence that they get to build out of it, the fun they get out of it, the time they get to spend with other people. What an amazing hobby, because it started for all of us, I know, at some point when you're a kid. And it's really just cool to see now that I know one day, kind of like that old Topps commercial where the dad's there with his kid and he's had that card in the little tray for 40 years. I can kind of start to see that working inside of my kids right now, where like my son the other day said, Dad, if I don't end up making it to the pros one day, I might open my own card shop. And so it's just cool to kind of see your kids get into it and get to share that time with them. But I can't wait to dig in and tell y'all more about the show, because my predictions couldn't have been any more wrong on what I thought my show was going to look like. But
Could have told you that one.
yeah, but it was a fast and furious. I was there 18 hours and couldn't have got any more done in that 18 hours. It was good to see you, Ham. Can't wait to see my boy Kern again. I'm hoping, I'm going to put Kern on the spot here. We need to do a live episode. We've got a lot of Southeast fans here, Kern. A live episode, Culture Collision, in September. We need to do it at the show in September, in person, sell some cards, talk to some people, do a live show if we can get everybody there.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man. You can count me out.
So
there we go.
I can't travel. Can't do it. Can't do it anymore. We'll see.
I will say this, guys. Like, I was wildly blown away by how many people came up to us, hollered at us, high-fived us, asked us for their opinions. Like, I was standing there, like, looking at Tom Brady, and this guy hollers across this, like, barrier, and he's like, CEOs! And I was like, what's up? He's like, love the show! He just, like, that happened all day. And so it hit me, man, like, I am so grateful for the sports card CEO community, for our listeners. Like,
100%.
getting this feedback from you guys that, like, y'all are loving it. And so we continue to put, our heart into putting this podcast together for you guys. And, like, I love the community that we've built. You know what I mean? And, like, this was just about us having our community, and it's like we've invited all these other folks into the community. It was just super cool, man. I was like so overwhelmed by that, just super grateful.
Well, I want to have a big shout out to our hobby friends, because as you say that, we have a lot of you guys that have been friends, kind of mutual friends of ours that were separate friendships. Matt, you've had friendships. Kern, you've had friendships. I've had friendships. And when you get to see those people at the National and get to hear that these people are supporting our show the way they are. Yeah, I haven't even known that a lot of these people were listening. And these have been friends of mine in the industry, co-Bowman people in the market, and they all just go, man, I love listening to it every single week. And I really appreciate that, because I mean, we didn't do this show for that, but it is ultimately the reward. When you go every single week, like you guys haven't missed a week, I've missed one, and we've really put a commitment into it, but it's been so much fun. And really to be and continue to get the feedback we get, it makes it that much more fun to do it when there's people that are enjoying what you're doing. And I don't think the best is yet for the show. We've got lots of new ideas and things to do, but the key of the show is to always keep it to the way we wanted to start it. It's three friends getting on here, talking sports, business, life, baseball, and just being real. And the day that we can't be real is the day that this show stops, in my opinion. And so at one day, and we'll come back to why my morning was so bad. We're going to have an episode called The Dark Side of the Hobby, because that's on my chest today. And if I could lay out I got a lot of stuff built up in here. That episode's coming.
So let's go ahead and kick off this thing. So we had some national predictions. Gary, this was your idea, actually. And you said, boys, give me your predictions. And so it's really, really interesting. So I went back and listened, and I wrote these down. Kern, you said that you were going to sell 50K in inventory and buy about 10K.
Yeah. So I'd say I sold about 80K, and I probably bought about, probably,
He's adding up all the cases of Bowman he ripped.
I probably bought about maybe 25, 30, nothing crazy.
Yeah. So for Ham House, we had said 80K, and we'd probably buy about 20K. So we ended up, and again, we bought and sold like on site or whatever. So I'm just counting total sold inventory. We did about $110,000 in total sales, and we bought probably around 20K, like home with us, right?
So that's
But
around what you expected, because you said like transact between like 120 and,
120, and I thought we would probably buy a little bit, but the thing is that the crazy thing for us, the thing that hit me was like the actual amount of net profit we had because of the deals that we transacted. We had a couple of crazy situations that just kind of fell into our lap. And little Matt is just so good at recognizing like market trends and opportunity. And so, he had a situation like, here's an example. He had a guy that he knew that was looking for an orange prospect. It was a 1010, BGS 1010. Little Matt knew the buyer, and he saw it in the case, and he called the buyer and he said, "Hey man, I found an orange 1010." I can't remember if it was Wit or
it was,
yeah, it was Ellie. And little Matt said it, and the guy said, "Hey, thanks for doing that for me," and basically gave little Matt an Eduardo Quintero True Gold for that transaction. And so it's like a $1,200 card. We moved that card at trade night. So like that was a $1,200 deal that didn't even involve any capital. You know what I mean? And then we had some other situations where, but it's funny too, like little Matt and I, we kind of got into a little bit of, not an argument, but like we had a black Connor Griffin that was in a PSA 8 slab, and we were having some difficulty moving it. And, somebody came to the table and they ended up, kind of waffling at the number that I gave them. I asked little Matt what his bottom was without kind of telling him what I had told them my ask was. I said, I'm asking 7, and they were kind of waffling. And I said, what's your bottom line here? Little Matt said 5K, and they snapped it up for 5K. And then we found out a few hours later, I think they moved it for like 6 or 65 or something. And he was bummed. And I was like, but listen, man, that's part of the deal, right? Like we made money on that card because we bought it right. They made money on it. Everybody's happy. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to kind of learn the nature of at the national. So much stuff is flowing and you just have to capitalize on it. And if you get too tight on your margins, your numbers or whatever, you can miss out on opportunities. And so we were able to roll some of that stuff into other stuff. And dude, it just completely snowballed. Like we literally did a third of our year in sales over the 3 days we were at the National.
That's nuts.
And I will say this too. I want our listeners to know we actually invested about $3,000 in a professional videographer and an editing team. And they followed us all day on the show floor on Friday. And I'm super pumped at what's going to come of that because it was some phenomenal content. And I think that we talk about how we approach cases, how we approach deals, how we approach all this kind of stuff. And I think it's just going to be a really cool, like hands-on, almost like documentary of the National for us that day. So I'm super pumped. That should be edited and coming out later this week, and we can let our listeners know. But it was a lot of fun, man.
I think I saw a clip of you.
Possibly. Possibly.
I don't remember.
Possibly.
Oh, that's good. No, I can't wait to see that.
So Bubba had a shirt made before the National that said, "I love buying." And then he went to the National, and Bubba has a new shirt that says, "I like selling."
I think I figured out I like it all. So my prediction couldn't have been more wrong. What was my prediction, Matt? Remind me exactly what I said.
I'm going to buy 10 times more than I'm going to sell.
It sounds like an Italian in Brooklyn.
So my buying, it was not a result of me not trying to buy. I didn't have time to buy. I got to the National, went to trade night, and got to meet, thanks to little Matt, got to meet some people in the hobby that I needed to meet. Some really good relationships that I think are going to help me going forward. Some just people that are just good to know in the hobby. So that took up most of my trade night. Just spent most of the night with those folks. We ended up getting a deal done that evening. And then right into the next day, same thing. I had Nick Tucker, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, introduced me to somebody else. and spent a lot of time with them, got a deal done right off the bat. And I brought some inventory up to a friend of mine, and he put it up in his booth as well and he had a pretty good spot inside the convention center there. And so all said, I ended up buying 2 cards. Okay, 2. They were pretty big cards. One was a Roman Anthony red 9.5. Bought it 20 minutes before leaving the show. Just had no idea that I was going to fall into that card. I have sold that card. I put it up, not maybe the intention really of selling it yet. Put it up, kind of showcased it, the new me, now putting stuff on Instagram. And somebody came up and said, hey, do you want to sell it? And so I did. And then I also bought a Caleb Williams gold kaboom, which I know Kern loves. He's a big fan of those vertical kabooms. So that is available, Kern, if you're interested.
Yeah.
But all said, I ended up buying 2 cards, probably totaling somewhere around $45,000. But I ended up selling, and I'm still totaling the numbers. But it appears it's going to be over $300,000 on the show. So in 18 hours in attendance at the show, looks like I may have done over $300,000 in sales. But
86% of the vote is in Georgia.
Yeah, the vote is almost in at 300. But no, it was moral of the story for me at the National was there's something there for everybody. If you've never been, if you've been in the past and you think you know what it's like, my National this year was totally different than the one I had before. And I feel like the next one I have is going to be totally different than the next one that I have. And so my advice would be, if you've never been, go. We'd love to meet you there next year. I hope we're doing a live broadcast. I mean, that means a ton to me that we do that. I think it'd be a lot of fun, but the show is a phenomenal show. I've never been more high on the hobby than I am right now after walking out those doors, where the hobby's at. And at the same time, I think more clear-headed. I was really pissed this morning, but I also think now I'm really clear where I'm going and what I'm doing in this space. And I'm just really thankful what this hobby is doing for us.
Yeah, one of the things that I kind of took a step back while I was there, I don't remember at what point, but maybe it was like Thursday night, and I kind of took a step back and realized, I was thinking about like what makes me somewhat successful at like what I'm doing in the hobby, right? And like we all have our own ways of success, or measures of success, I should say, in doing what we're doing here. But it's really eye-opening in doing some deals that I just got to we got to keep sticking to what we know. Bowman is so niche in general, but I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at, at recognizing the prospects that I like and why, and using the resources to kind of like, understand, or kind of approve what I'm thinking, right? And then my strategy is to get in early and get in, strong. But it's paying dividends now in that the guys that we have gone on early on and strong, the people that are buying these cards now are the ones that aren't doing that work, right? Like they're paying the premium, and we're seeing more and more of those people. And so it kind of just reminded me, like, stick to what we're doing and stick to what you're good at, no matter what that is. I'm sharing with you what I think I'm good at. It's jumping on cards that I want as soon as they're hit and making a deal as quickly as ever, right? And it's having conviction in a prospect, because I'm prospecting and I'm watching these guys every single solitary night and talking to the right people to approve what I'm looking at and going in big on them. Like, yes, you could say if those guys don't hit or don't have success, then I fail, right? That's true. We're going to have those. But like the point is that somebody has to be the one to get in early and make those margins for the guys that are going to pay a premium. And the people paying a premium are out there. They're not necessarily the people in our Bowman world that are looking to do the same thing that we are, but there's people out there that when those Connor Griffins become number one, or those Sebastian Walcotts become a top 5 guy, that you're going to be able to move those cards to. And yeah, I kind of just took a step back and like everybody, the bottom line is, my advice is just whatever you feel that you're good at, whether that's moving on 10% margins in high quantity, continue to do that. Don't try to switch it up. Like, continue to do that if you're having success.
Well, on that note, I told Justin today, for y'all in the any listeners that don't know this, which probably most of you don't know this, I've got a guy that works for me in the card business, and really all he does is spreadsheets for me. He runs all my spreadsheets. He does all my shipping. He does all my grading reviews. He does all my organization because I'm not very organized. I mean, Ham and Kern here could be like, hey, show's at 9, I'm on at 9:10. I mean, that's just the kind of guy. I'm not organized. I just never am. So I realized that about myself. So I had to hire somebody that was. And he was at my house today, and we were getting the grading order together, and we were doing all this stuff. And I looked at him today, and I said, I want you to write this down. And every time we because we usually get together once a week. And I said, I want you to remind me of this every single week going forward. I said, do not allow me to buy anything going forward that I am not willing to stash tomorrow. Meaning, don't think that I'm so smart that I can get in the moment and not want to own that card a week from now or a month from now. In that moment, I have to think that there's future value going forward in that player. Meaning, if I'm buying a PSA 9 and I crack it and it goes back in a 9, or I buy a raw and I grade it and it gets a 9, I should want to keep it because I believe in that player. I shouldn't want to go. But so many times right now, I was looking at cards I had today. If I got a 9, I'm like, man, I just need to get rid of this guy. I don't even believe in this player. I bought this card because I thought I was going to get the 10. Or I bought this card because I thought I could do the quick flip. To me, you want to lose your ass in this space, buy stuff that you really don't have that conviction in, and you'll lose every time. In my opinion, when I look back, you might get lucky occasionally, but if you buy that guy that you're just like, you know what, Weatherholt's the guy, and I'm going to use him as an example. I'm going to use Kurtz as an example. I'm going to use Connor Griffin as an example. I can use a lot of names that we've all been talking about. If you had conviction in those guys at the beginning and you had said, oh, I got the 9, and you had held the 9, you would be winning. That doesn't mean it happens every single time, but you can go through a list of a lot of the other players that I did the same thing with that I never should have bought because I never had the conviction in them. I just thought that I was just, I'm going to hedge my bet over here. So I think to add to what you're saying, Kern, hopefully that makes sense because I know I'm kind of jabbering there, but that was kind of my aha moment of today.
It's funny, like we've all kind of you talk about like, what you're good at, and it's interesting for me because I feel like I have the ability to understand people's motivations and really kind of meet those people where they are and help them kind of accomplish the thing that they want to accomplish, right? And so it's no different in the card hobby. It's like there are guys that are looking for inventory that they can turn and make 10% on. There are guys that are looking for somebody that they want to hold long term. And so it's like understand the buyer. Like I've been a sales guy my whole life. That's what I am. And that's what I do in the insurance industry. And you become really good at listening to people and watching people and understanding what it is that they're trying to accomplish. And then you become an advocate for helping them accomplish what it is that they want to accomplish. And that's what's made us good in the card space, man. We start to recognize the angles that you can play to help people accomplish the things that they're looking for. And in turn, what you do is you're able to make some capital off of that. And for me, a big part of this was this unification of my family, like me being able to do something with my boys. And here we are, man, all 4 of us running around the show floor, having, like, I will tell you, everybody watching this, y'all all have kids. I know, Kern, you've got your boys. Gary, you have my boys fight all the time. They do. They're always competitive over everything. They fight. And I almost get emotional thinking about it. Boys got along so well this week. Like they were all in their space, man. They were getting along. Like Matthew was high-fiving the twins that they like make deals and stuff. And they were so happy. And then I legitimately am like, these are my sons. These are the boys. Like when they're home and they don't have this outlet and they're fighting because they don't have to get the energy out or whatever. And it's like, gosh, guys, y'all drive me. But then I'm at the national with them. I'm like, man, these are my boys. They're doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
so like that for me is really what this has all been about. And being able to capitalize on that at the same time of enjoying the process, man, it's just so key. And again, everybody's different. There might be a single guy out there who doesn't have kids, but this is his outlet from his medical device sales. You know what I mean? And this is what he's going to do. And like, so it's great. And that's why I love this hobby.
Absolutely. Well, one question I had for y'all, and we talked about this before the show. What are y'all's thoughts about what you saw at the show? As far as cards in general, what percentage did you see Bowman? Did you see as much as you thought you'd see? Not as much? What's kind of y'all's feel on what you saw in cases and what you saw at trade night and whatnot?
I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, I didn't see every table. Like there was not a lot. I didn't walk around a ton. Like I mean, I walked around, but I wasn't looking at showcases that much, to be honest. Because so I was with kind of like a group of 5, 6 guys, and I kind of made PC like my home base. You know what I mean? Because I put some cards up there. I BS with Zach a little bit, and I was kind of hanging out there. And the other guys that I was with were kind of spread out, and they were making moves and buying and selling. And we were on a group text, and if they saw a good Bowman table, they would text the number or they text a picture of something that was good. And I go over there and look. So like I can't speak for like what percentage of Bowman is out there, because I probably saw 10% of the tables there. I really did. Like the deals that I did were like, I mean, 50% of it was at one table, like with one person. I mean, the deals were really with 2 people in general, and that took place at like one table. So I wasn't really walking around looking. So I don't want to misspeak on behalf of like what percentage of cards were Bowman out there.
In on our case, we had 3 scavengers all over the show floor, and what I did think, I wrote down here, venue. That Chicago venue is fantastic. The way they've got it divided, left-hand side of the room is primarily vintage, and, you've got your corporate space over there. The far back left-hand side is kind of like your modern, more high-end, guys. And then in the middle, you've got your Breakers Pavilion, you know what I mean, with some corporate stuff mixed in. And then on the right-hand side, you've got this more corporate space. And then, more what I thought was like kind of like vintage and 90s, like rare kind of low population type stuff. And there was some Bowman scattered in. So my thoughts on that is no, every table did not have Bowman. But Bowman is still this ridiculous niche within this hobby that it's the drug that guys don't admit to using. It's they're these guys are sitting on the big color. They're in the background. You know what I mean? I'm kind of holding on to my guy. I'm doing it in the shadows. It's not the RPA out front flashing in your face. It's the guy's got it stuck behind the case. You know what I mean? Don't want to let anybody know that he has it. And again, when you get these situations and then you get somebody who comes to trade night and they go, "Hey, I know you're a Bowman guy." Boom. And you're like, "Yes, thank you very much." You know what I mean? I'll take that. I think that I will say this, though, as last thought about that. On the show floor, I think the pricing was very challenging. And it's interesting because the vendors pay so much to have those tables, they almost have to build a margin to make it work for them. But at the same time, like, it's frustrating when you're offering fair on cards that are just not reasonably priced to the market. And so if you're walking around the dealer table, just trying to make deals that way, it makes it really difficult.
Yeah. Did y'all go upstairs at all? Either one of y'all? Did y'all go to the upstairs area?
We did not.
We did, yeah.
So I went up there at the very end. That's actually where the Roman Anthony was. There was a lot of deals going on up there. I think that was kind of a forgotten zone, but there was a ton of stuff going on up there.
It was its own show.
It was. I mean, and that area was packed. There was a fair amount of baseball up there going on in that space. But, what's interesting is to hear other people's perspective. And I was talking to one of my buddies today who does not do prospects. He does Bowman, but he does not do prospects. And he's very active in the hobby. He actually works in the hobby. And we were talking about the show. And I was like, man, hey, we didn't get to catch up. He's a good friend of mine. Has been over a long time in the hobby. And he said, man, I was talking about prospects. I'm like, man, I'm still telling you to get in prospects, man. You got to get in prospects. And he said, I didn't see any at the show. He's like, I didn't hardly see any prospects. I didn't hardly see that much modern baseball. And it's the same thing, but it's also the best news that anybody listening to this show right now can hear, because it's what's keeping these prices safe. Is if those cards, because this is the thing, and I thought about this thought came to me earlier today too. Why am I buying oranges? Why am I buying reds? Why are we buying superfractors? Why are we buying these high number stuff? The 3 of us, right? Well, we buy it in a lot of ways for protection. We're buying it for protection. And the protection of that is that if a guy was in the show this weekend and he brought this inventory that he's been wanting to sell to get cash for the National, a la Alt, okay? Alt was giving away, what did they give away? $4 million that they gave away in cash advances on cards going in. Everybody was doing, hey, dump your cards here. We're going to give you cash for the show, right? If you own a gold or you owned a blue or you owned a purple, you were at risk that one of those guys dumped his card. And then another person dumped their card. And another person dumped their card. And another person dumped those card. And 4 of those suckers might run here in the next 2 weeks. And that thought hit me today.
In the same auction, too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then when some other guy goes, oh, I just paid XYZ for this card, guy dumped it, you're just, and that's the life that I remember living a couple years ago. Yeah. And so to me, it just solidifies why staying in that space of cards, and Bowman itself is very insulated to that. And I want to say that this is as a niche, we're insulated for the most part. Most of these guys that are out there dumping these cards aren't dumping what Bowman first.
Yeah.
Aren't dumping prospects because they know what they have.
And I'm just going to say something right now. If you think that there's going to be a top prospect that you want a red of, better second guess it, because Gary and I are going to own those suckers. We have cornered the market, and we're going to continue to corner the market. So look out. You want to fight for a top red? You're coming through me. You're going through Bubba. I'm just telling you that right now. So pay up.
The New Yorker just came out, baby.
It did. For some reason, it's just I just got annoyed.
Triggered, baby.
I just got annoyed.
He got annoyed by like the thought of like owning a gold that's worth $1,500, and some guy selling it for $750, and now your card's worth $750. And I want to say this while we're there, because we're going to get back to the deep, dark side of it. This is all I want to come to this, but this is happening, okay? And if anybody on this show that's watching today doesn't say it's happening, you're full of shit. And I'm going to say it right now. I was looking at comps before the National, and we're just going to use a very common card that probably was the most common card at the show for football fans, a Kaboom, okay? And I'm heavily invested in a Kaboom. I'm just using it as an example. And then as an example for why Bowman's insulated as well. Before the show, most of the time you would think people would be pumping up the comps, right? Would y'all expect that? Because you want to get more. Guess what I saw this year? I saw the opposite. I saw people taking their raw cards and putting a Jaden Daniels Kaboom for $350. I saw people going in there and putting them at $500 and creating these fake comps. You know what that does to the market? It absolutely screws it. It absolutely screws it for them. It screws them for the next guy. And what they don't realize is, I'm going to buy it and it's going to correct. It creates this havoc that is what is in this industry. And that's why Bowman, for the most part, I'm thankful that we do it with a lot of our listeners that are in this, because it's guys like you two that have common sense and a lot of other people in this that aren't out there dumping their stuff and screwing the next guy. And to me, it's just going on in this space that, and it's
screwing the next guy.
I mean, it's the truth.
How dare you sell your car?
How dare you? I'm going to call you the big dumper. You're the big
I love the big dumper.
When you big dump 10% of the freaking comp, freaking falsified to screw everybody else there, and then these people sit there and go, no. You know, it's all. I mean, to me, I don't know. Now I'm feeling boiling on, boys. I'm about to go on a rant.
Keep going. Keep going.
No.
The coffee is
this morning. I was really when Gary called me this morning. I'm like, we got to get Matt on the line. We got to record right now. This is gold. This is gold, Jerry. This is gold, man. This is good. He was just going off, man.
Well, but I think the point is like, it's like any industry, right? Like, I'm in the insurance industry. And when you know what people are doing in the industry and you understand how to set yourself up against what's happening and how it affects the consumer, when people who have any common sense, they go, I want to deal with that guy because I don't want to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start to delineate yourself from the rest of the market. And when we bring the education that we bring, it's like people coming up, like you said, if you've got an orange of a guy or whatever, and people are like lowballing you on that, it's like, do you know how hard we work to get this card? And you think I'm going to, dump it for like less than comp on a top 10 prospect? No, that's not how this works. It's not how this game works. And again, you have to have the stones and the conviction to be able to stand in the gap and hold that card. It's a different part of the hobby, man. It's a different part of the hobby.
Well, I love sharing story. I love being a storyteller. And I'm going to tell a quick story, okay? In my business, I had started being the low guy on the totem pole, right? Started with nothing. Okay, grew a business, became the biggest in town. And a guy came around and started a business, okay, another business down the road. And when he saw that my business was doing well, he couldn't beat us with our service. He couldn't beat us with the quality. So what do you think he did? He beat me with his price. And he didn't beat me by my price by a little bit. He cut his price in half. And so what I did is I called full-fledged war on him. And all we did was continue to stay with what we did and do what we did and provide a service. We stuck with our price. And at the end of the day, I grew a great business. And I grew a business that took care of its customers. I grew a business that had value in a business. And he still owns that business today and is struggling with that business. He got a lot of customers at first. It was all good. But then he wasn't making any money because it was a really, really, really good idea to go out there and do that. And so my point in this whole long rant that I'm in right now about this is this industry that we're in, this niche that we're in called Bowman is insulating us from a lot of this for the most part because there's a lot of this going on. Don't get me wrong. We're not 100% exempt from it because it does go on. But I just wanted people that listen to understand that, like, it's, to me, we should be all thankful that we're in what we're in because this is the best part of the hobby, in my opinion.
So, any more thoughts on that, Kurt?
Nope. I'm good. The big dump.
We will have a follow-up episode on this, a full reveal of what I'm talking about eventually, and it's coming.
Yeah.
Yep. So one thing that I wanted to share, super cool story, and then I've got a question for you guys to kind of spark us into the back end of the show. So I was at a table and I saw somebody kind of shaking this guy's hand across the table, and I looked or whatever, and I looked at the dealer and I knew the dealer, and I was like, who is that? And he looked at me and he said, Bubba. And I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Bubba Watson. And I was standing there right with him and he was with his son. They're playing this week in Chicago, and Bubba Watson was walking around the National with his son buying sports. And he had a pen in his back pocket and he was signing golf balls. He was signing stuff. And it hit me on two levels. Number one, Bubba Watson is one of the coolest athlete celebrities that I've ever run into in public like that because he was so chill. There was no pretense. There's no like, hey, get out of my way. He's like, what's up, man? And I stood beside him and I said, hey, Bubba, I said, man, I can't run into you and not speak to you. And I just wanted to introduce myself. Yeah, I'll see your son. He was so cool. He's like, what are you guys into? Like, I mean, he was just like a really genuine dude. You know what I mean? And then he was like, this is a 2 times Masters champion, right? A massive athlete in the space. He's here with his son. I was like, the state of the hobby right now, because you got that kind of vibe going on, man. It gave me so much confidence to continue to do what we do. Because when smart people get in this space, I feel like that they congregate to the same areas, you know, and it feels super, super strong for us to be where we are. So that was just the story that I wanted to share. That was super, super cool to see him. And I actually messaged him on Instagram. I was like, hey, Bubba, not this Bubba, Bubba Watson. We need to get Bubba on the Sports Card CEO. I threw the little.
Did he respond?
Not yet, but I threw a
Not
little.
yet. Still holding out hope.
I was like, hey, Bubba, you never know, man. But
You
that's the
never
kind of,
So I brought this topic up a second ago. How do you guys feel now? Nationals over. We were all pumped up going in. We're all pumped up going out. Where do card values go from here? Okay, because I feel like I talked to Brent about this earlier today. We're in August. It's probably the most unexciting time of the baseball season, right? We're honest. It's kind of the dog days of the summer for baseball. These guys have been playing a lot of games. We're not in the playoff push yet. It's not September. Everybody's kind of got the buzz of the National, but that buzz is going to wear off. Now they're back home. Baseball cards have been so resilient all year. It's in where do we go from here? Where does this market go into the fall? Where does it go into the winter? Is last year exactly the story we see again? Is it this continuous increase and then level out as we get into the winter and it just kind of flatlines like we talked about last year where we never went down and we stay at 0 to 2% increasing and then February, March, a bomb drops? Where do you feel we are at on this industry right now?
So I think that there's a lot of hype being infused into the hobby right now. And that does make me nervous because I come from my first career out of college was raw, private community land sales in Florida. We were selling pre-development real estate in Florida back in Palm Beach back in 2003, 2004. And we had a sales release in 2004 and we did $375 million in sales in one day. And we sold out this entire community. And in hindsight, I saw that so much of that was manufactured hype. And what ended up happening is the capital couldn't sustain itself. End users were not moving into those communities. And those properties literally went to a quarter of their value. Now, 20 years later, the neighborhoods come back around and people are moving back in. So why do I tell that story? There are parts of this hobby that I feel very dangerous about some of the values attached to it. But when you talk about rare, low numbered, low population cards that are in massively high demand, I feel very secure about the values of those assets. So it's almost like there's two classes of assets that are emerging here. And one class is predicated on FOMO, hype, and fluff. And the other is actual, tangible, long valued assets. And so that's why Ham House is moving the majority of our assets into that type of. So, Kern, what do you feel about the value, the hobbies, off-season baseball? Where are you on this?
Well,
This is going in our cut compilation later at the end of for Christmas time.
It's so good.
well, I think the market's been so hot that it has to cool down. Like it's got to level out at some point. Regardless from what happens here, I do think in February, March, it's off to the races once again. I think my portfolio from a prospect standpoint, it's mostly all increased in values. While the market's still hot, I'm going to move what I can, but make sure I keep the important pieces that I want to hold into February and March. Because most of the stuff that I was buying all this year, it was a buy until at earliest, for the most part, April or March of this year. It was a year plus old since I've been buying from last offseason. So I'm going to stick to that, but move while I can so I can kind of cost average everything out and be into those bigger cards for free or basically at nothing. So that's my goal, but I do seeing it leveling out a bit, just like it normally does during the offseason, but I think it's off to the races come February, March again.
So I'm looking right now. What do you guys think on Card Ladder right now, the baseball index? What do you think we're up in the last year as a market? Last year as a whole?
We up?
For baseball cards. Just baseball.
I would guess 18%.
Kern?
I was going to say 17%, but now I'm going to change it. I'm going to say 23%. 23%.
And so when you look at that, though, and then you go over here and you look at now I want to see what the Bowman 100 is, a new one that they've created, okay? The Bowman 100, baseball's up 8. The Bowman 100 now, have y'all seen that before, that index? I've never seen that before today. Bowman 100 is up 18.3.
Yeah, I was going to say that's got to be outperforming baseball.
Yeah.
So it's up 10% over baseball. Bowman is currently.
Well, I think that's my point is when you look at asset classes and stuff and you start to think that like Bowman is the elite asset class. Like it's so funny, man. Like I live by the coast, right? And like by the ocean. I mean, I don't live on the ocean, but I live a few miles away from the ocean. And real estate values here are so strong because so many people want to have property, land near the coast. And you're kind of insulated because you are in a like limited asset class of oceanfront property. I mean, Kern, you're now staying or renting a place on the ocean. Like it's just that's the nature of real estate, right? It's just oceanfront property is so Bowman to me is like the oceanfront property of the sports card hobby. They're not making any more of it. This is where it is. Like, go ahead and get into it early. People go, oh, back in the day, if I could have bought this, well, get in now. Like that to me is the mindset that I take into why it's a great opportunity within the hobby. And Bubba, as you just said, it's already outperforming the rest of the hobby.
So the mid end, okay, this is intriguing. So I don't see anything red right now. This is all green. The mid end right now of the hobby is up 14% in the last year. High end is up 15.7, okay? The only red that I am seeing in the last year that relates to anything we would be talking about is the low end market is down 0.6%, okay? And I think the reason that is we talked about sticker autos. We've talked about the dump. We've talked about what happens. There's so much stuff on, and I don't know what they consider low end, but I would assume anything under a couple $100, under $100 maybe.
That's what I was going to ask. What's considered low end? Yeah.
I would assume under $100. And when you walk that floor, that stuff's piles of it. There's so much. When you open this box, which I have this box right here under me, there's so much stuff in here that's under $100. It's just chock full of it. And so when we talk about Bowman, again, that's what's so cool about this cereal Bowman. $4.99. It's a sweet spot. I mean, you don't want to be in the ultra low end? Go to Bowman $4.99 if you believe in Guy. Get a $4.99 auto. Go and get yourself a blue 150. Go and get these things that are going to hold up over time. But to me, just to answer the question from my standpoint as far as the market goes, and my own mind, because I think about this, I probably think about this more than I think of anything, is where's the market go? I think there's so much buzz around Bowman right now. I think Bowman will continue, especially as the new releases are coming. I think we'll see a little bit of kind of choppiness maybe in the next couple weeks. When the new release comes out, you're going to see a boom. You're going to see another boom around that release. You're going to see people getting excited about it all over again. And then right about the time that that's starting to dip down, everybody's starting to think about buying again, getting ready for February and March. My prediction is I don't think we're going to see the meteoric crater that we used to see. 15% down, 18% up. I think those days are done for the immediate right now. My gut tells me that baseball will stand fairly flat. We'll get a little bump around September. Then I think we'll level out. And then I think we hit January. You hit January and February. I think it's to the races. That's my prediction. If I was a meteorologist for sports cards, I'm saying the storm's coming.
You know who's a good way. You know,
he's a rainmaker, baby. He's a rainmaker. Now you know who a meteorologist is? Spencer Jones. He hits bombs.
Make it rain. I saw something today. It was literally a post on X, and it said the most polarizing athlete in baseball, Spencer Jones.
Really?
That's serious, dude.
Wow.
He's
starting to get some hype.
It was.
I mean, what I know this is not a football show. I know it's baseball related, but a lot of our people that listen to the show do other stuff other than just baseball. So I am curious, because I'm not the only one that's noticed this now. Does football catch its groove this year? Baseball has taken the number one spot. It has done it, okay? It is official. Baseball was getting no love. Football was getting all the love. The show showed me signs that maybe football was, because a lot of people were talking about football. So my question is, from y'all's perspective, I know, Kern, you don't follow this a lot, but you're a football fan too. Are you starting to get excited about football at all? Are y'all starting to think about football? Is that entering your headspace at all, or are y'all still 100% baseball right now in your head?
I'm all baseball still. I'm all baseball still.
Little Matt's in the background having a conniption fit. He's doing like this, you know.
I mean, from a personal standpoint, like it's all baseball for me. I mean, I'm a Jets fan, and I have nothing to be excited about whatsoever. So that's the God's honest truth. So I'm baseball until Mets playoffs are done. Mets baseball is done.
I do think that football is going to see a surge when the season starts, but I think it's going to get flat really quick. And the reason why is there's not a lot of hype with this year's rookie class. Like, this year's rookie class is kind of full. You know what I mean? So I think you're going to see the likes of Josh Allen and Mahomes and those kind of guys tend to dominate. But last year's rookie class was really strong this year. So I think that's going to contribute to a bit of a slower downturn in the football game. And I think when people start to see the kind of money that is being made in the baseball market, it's going to cause people to want to get into something that has a little bit more stability. So I definitely think that the football season, in my opinion, actually helps the Bowman market some.
So another thing that's coming, and I know it's not what it used to be. September call-ups aren't exactly the same. They increased it. Now it's only 26 to 28 roster spots, but still there's going to be, for a lot of these teams, even teams like the Braves, for example, a guy that's had no value at all, Hurston Waldrop, hadn't had a chance, right? He sucked last year for the Braves. They drafted him. I don't know if y'all saw this, came in the other day at the Bristol game. By the way, that's something we need to talk about, the Bristol game. That was phenomenal. Did y'all see that? Did y'all get to see that inside the racetrack? That was freaking awesome. Anybody that didn't get to see that, go back and watch that on YouTube. Go back, watch the clips, even the replay. That racetrack and having those ginormous seats going all the way up, that was one incredible feat that they were able to put that inside of. They literally were driving like cars around with mascots around out on the racetrack. I mean, it was a cool experience. But my question to y'all, too, is like, I'm getting excited to see, are any of these guys that we've been holding, are they going to get a shot? Is Basayo going to get a shot? You know, are some of these guys going to get any kind of shot before next spring? Any predictions on that front from you three?
I think we see JJ Weatherholt up in 2 weeks. That's my opinion. I think he's going to be coming up. Before we make these predictions, actually, can we just talk about one thing? Can we just talk about what a crazy man AJ Preller is? I mean, what kind of psycho? What kind of psycho is he? I mean, I used to respect the aggressiveness, right? Now I think he's just freaking dumb. Like I think he's an animal. Like it's all about what if, like, have you won? No, he's never won with what he's doing. All right, and he's and part of it I respect for sticking to true to his strategy. But when is it gonna end? Like, look at the list of guys he's given up. Like, he gave up James Wood for Juan Soto as a rental. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, did you not learn anything? Like, it boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how he still has a job. I don't know.
Absolutely. It really is it wasn't when somebody I can't remember which one of y'all texted me and said Leo just got traded. I'm like, come on, yeah, right. When I looked at it and said he's going to the A's, well, suddenly the Pirates and the A's, watch out. I mean, they've been the laughing stock of Major League Baseball for a long time. If I was looking for a new team to cheer for, it would be the Pirates or the A's coming up. I mean, the A's are freaking loaded, dude. I mean, if they don't trade this all the way, if they ever get to let it materialize in the next 4 to 5 years, they are loaded. I mean, loaded. And so are the Pirates.
Hey, look, I'll eat my words if the Padres actually go out and win, right? Like, it worked then, right? AJ Preller's a genius. It finally worked out. But the chances of that happening are so unlikely when you've done it, and you've done this over and over and over. Like, I'm sorry, you got to lose like, at some point, you got to cut ties. Like, if this doesn't work out, like, you're giving up the farm, man. He's giving up the farm. Yes. It's wild.
Yeah, you just don't give up. You don't give up players like that. Not for what they got. I mean, they could have went and got a number of rental relief pitchers out there on that market. I mean, Mason Miller is a phenomenal pitcher. Don't get me wrong. But when you got one guy for one inning in a game, you can't tell me that the price they just paid for Leo was even close to worth it.
Yeah, look,
not even close.
Look, I mean, that's the way I felt when the Mets traded for Edwin Diaz, right? And they gave up Jared Kelenic, and turned out the Mets won that trade, right? So, like, maybe it's the same thing, but, like, I just don't know how you give up talent like that for you said it, like, for a guy, like, you're not one piece away. I'm sorry, you're just not one piece away. And I'm not saying this as, like, a bitter prospect. I own 0 Leo DeVry cards. 0. Like, absolutely 0. So I'm not saying this, as a bitter guy who's holding his cards here that's worried about the market going down. That's not the case. It just boggles my mind.
Where does his market go? How do y'all feel about his market? Do you feel any different about him being in Oakland compared to San Diego?
I thought I would feel. I actually think it's better. I got to be honest with you. I think it's going to be better for him. I think the A's have now solidified themselves as this great team, as this great farm system that's developed good young talent between Jacob Wilson and Nick Kurtz, and things are looking up for them. So I think from a market standpoint, I mean, assuming he's got to perform, but I don't think of it as a negative, like the way we probably used to with the A's. You know what I mean? He goes to Miami, different story, but I don't think the A's have that same perception that they used to have. So I don't see any sort of, like, downfall from a market standpoint, assuming that he continues to perform.
What do you think about it?
I think he's got to figure out, like, to me, the Leo hype is suspended until he figures out if he can really play in the show, right? I think his hype was really strong early when he came out and did what he did at his age. I think now he's going to be kind of leveled off. until he gets a shot to do something pretty crazy. But you've got, you know, uh, what's his name at shortstop already? Jacob, right? All-star level shortstop this year. So, I mean, he's gonna do it from second base. You know what I mean? I mean, feel like I feel like this window of when a prospect pops, like, it's either early or you have to get to through the sophomore slump and then back up the mountain. I've completely changed my game. Like we talked about this a couple weeks ago with Poland. Call up is not what it used to be. Like it is the early hype, and then there is this flat, volatile season until they get into the space and into the show and start doing James Wood, Nick Kurtz, you know what I mean? Jacob Wilson type stuff. And then they're going to see this meteoric rise, but then it's so hard to sustain that. And you're going to see it. So you have to either time this really early or you have to have the stones to get it to the other side of their performance in the bigs. So I think Leo right now, I'm not buying him. I'm actually probably selling. We have one left. I would sell it off, but I do think if he gets in the show, man, and he pops, it's going to be big.
Yeah, it's August the 4th right now. My prediction is a year from now, his cards will be down 35% from now. And at that point, I'm potentially a buyer again. I think he's a step closer to where he's at. He's kind of like a Felnin Celestin, somebody like that. We've talked about him before on the show. These guys that have tremendous ability that get into the spotlight, and it just really depends if the Athletics fast track him. If they Nick Kurtz him and they get him up there quick and he shines, obviously he can explode. I just don't think they're going to rush him because they don't need to right now with Jacob Wilson already there. I would think Leo's probably at least a year and a half away from getting up. And if that being said, that's a lot of time to sit there. And I'll say this right now, and I hate I'm giving up a player that I'm on, but it gives me a day or two before this show goes live to kind of buy as much as I can. But Walker Jenkins is one of those guys. Walker Jenkins was a guy that was all the rage, and he fell out of favor really, really quick. Walker Jenkins is a hell of a ball player.
Look at what he's doing.
He's a beast.
The power has come. He's starting to hit.
He is a guy that we should be buying right now. And people are smart. They'll find their way to him again, but he's undervalued for what he could be. And to me, again, we talk about it all the time. Find the opportunities. And some of the listeners right now, you're probably cussing us as we're talking about Leo going, what? Y'all are out? Y'all been talking about Leo. This game can change that quick. And you've got to be moving with this game. Well, I've lost the most money in this game, like I said earlier. The second that I lost conviction, and I somewhere along the line with Leo, probably about, I don't know, maybe 90 days ago, I started to get this feel it was going to take a long time for that kid to get to the show. And that was when I knew, okay, I got to start changing the approach or I could be holding the bag here.
Yep.
So, boys, we are in the rare air of hour plus on the show. There's a lot of things that are going on right now. So we just want to let you guys know, what do you want to hear from us about? You guys definitely reach out to us and let us know what you guys want to hear and where you want us to go. We've got a lot of content coming forward. I'm going to tell you right now, what I want to see at the 2026 National is I want to see a sports card CEO booth. Like I want to see it. I'm just telling you, I want to see it. I want to be there. I want to interview some athletes. I want to do it.
Manning that place because I can't sit still for that long.
We'll just have you have like a mic on walking around the place.
Dude, we can have a few of the boys kind of hang out and just,
I'll be the sideline reporter.
Have a little showcase. Yeah.
I'm kind of feeling a later in the week episode. I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of feeling one.
Get saucy.
This week?
Yeah.
Get saucy.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down for it. I think we got a lot to talk about, boys, and we'll wrap up with this. Like, I love when we get in these moments like right now where I used to hate it. And I would come on the show and go, there's no inventory. This is the right time to have, this is my final thought of the show for today. When there's no inventory, we're protected right now. Okay. And this is a good time to be protected. There's just not a lot there. And I think that's what we're going to see in the times ahead. And this is going to be a dogfight to find the good stuff, though, because when the good stuff comes up, you got to get on it quick because there's just not a lot out there. And so there's a lot of scrapping. There's a lot of stuff going on out there right now to find cards. but be smart right now. This is a really, really good time to kind of adjust the playbook when there's not a lot of inventory on the market. Your one card that goes on the market might be the only dog out there. So that's the only dog out there on the shows. That's one thing to think about. Looking at the inventory that's there, if you've got the blue PSA 10 and you got the only one, might be a good time to list it if you want to get out of that player. So that's my final thought of the day.
I apologize for earlier, guys, when I said that you won't get any high-end red prospects. Maybe we'll let you get one or two. Now, look, the market's strong, and
You won't see any red prospects.
like I said, you can have one or two. No, this was a great post-national recap. If maybe we'll get another one out there. There's a lot of other thoughts to discuss.
This has been the first late night episode of the Sports Card CEO, and we are grateful that you guys listen to us, guys. Thank you guys for always making time for our listeners to be able to do this. Love seeing you guys last week. What a great national. The hobby is in a wild space right now. Guys, make sure you're doing your homework. Continue to use this show as an asset for you as you build your collection, as you make your strategy, as you become your own Sports Card CEO. That's what this was all about.
Later in the week, maybe a bonus episode. Be ready.
Double up, baby.
Sayonara.
Peace.